This is the Raider Cop Nation podcast with your host Alpha Mike and our roster of co-hosts. We patrol America's law enforcement beat. We invite you today on a ride-along. Now, here's your weekly briefing on Raider Cop Nation. Transmitting high atop of Florida's peninsula at 108 feet, this is Alpha Mike and you're listening to Raider Cop Nation. What episode is this? 107. And we're talking about short stocking for home defense. And it's not women's stocking, it's the stocking technique used with a shotgun. Today's co-host is going to be none other than the world jet setter from the tarmac himself, the Mac Daddy of investigation, and of firearms, Kilo's here. And he's going to be with us today. 107, we're going to be talking about this techniques in shotgun. It's going to be an interesting show. It's part of the Train Up series. And, we offer a lot in these series where we make you think out of the box as far as training and what you should be doing, especially when you're handling a firearm. So that's always important. All right, so we got a lot on the agenda. I don't think it's going to be a very long show, but we do have a lot on the agenda, so we're not going to waste any time. And let's hook up the quote of the week. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. He who does good is of God, but he who does evil has not seen God. As always, the word of the week uplifts, inspires, saves, heals. It does the body good. And that's why we give it to you. And speaking of giving you the word, the test everything 1521. Some people have been asking, well, what's going on with the series? I haven't been seeing any updates. We had a little technical difficulty. As you know, if you're an avid listener, we don't pay for that channel. So we have X amount of hours a month. And we were doing pretty good with that. But we had some technical difficulties with the system that we couldn't upload for some odd reason. I think it was more on our end than it was. It had nothing to do with the company. And so not to be frustrated with that, especially since the numbers were low, the ratings were low on Test Everything 1521, we decided to hold off to October. We will start doing a new show every week. It will not be uploaded on Mondays, as the old term AWOL Monday was a catalyst to uploading on Mondays. A lot of people don't want to hear the word after Sunday, I guess. So we've decided to bring that word on either Wednesday or Thursday. We're probably looking at Wednesday night. And there will be loaded, of course, Raider Cop Nation loads every Wednesday morning. And we will go ahead and place Test Everything 1521 on Wednesday night. And that starts in October. So stay tuned for that. There's always a lot of good messages we're going to give. Remember, it's less than 15 minutes. It's just a powerful message from God that can help you in your everyday life. So that starts fresh new series once a week being uploaded, and out it goes to the world every Wednesday night. The podcast itself, the episode, will last 90 days. You can catch it on RadioCopNation.com by going to the Test Everything site. There you'll see and you can hear the episodes. After 90 days, they disappear. But we know that the Word of God just doesn't disappear. When that Word is sent out and disseminated, it plants like a seed and creates a fruit later on, whoever was predestined to hear it. That's how magnificent God is. Episode 107, Short Stocking for Home Defense. That's our show today. And we have the one and only Kilo Sierra that will be with us to discuss this topic, and it will enlighten you. We'll talk a little bit about the technique and a little bit of how to get your mind in the game, especially when you're dealing with home defense, which is very important. Um, we, I'm going to give you the schedule for October and November, and we will do, as I always say, as much as we humanly possibly can to keep to the schedule. But following this episode, October 9th, we have Yellow Footprints with Mike Sierra. He will come on the show, the original co-host of Radio Cop Nation, and we will be talking about those yellow footprints on that you step on at Paris Island, South Carolina, and you discover the United States Marine Corps. Unique yellow footprints that only 1% of Americans have ever stepped on. He'll discuss with us and guide us through that process and what it meant for him. And we're also going to get some feedback on some of projects that he's doing with his podcast and our brother podcast and, of course, his blog. And he's turning that into a cause and a very good one. And he's going to discuss it with us about a sticker program he's doing. So stay tuned. October 9th, Yellow Footprints with Mike Sierra. October 16th, we have the Club 109 episode with the cop. We're going to discuss, of course, they are professional organizations and they are social organizations. And the cop's going to discuss how those groups partake and should be a part of, or how they become a part of a agency. That is episode 109. 110, Situational Awareness with yours truly. We're going to be thinking a little bit out of the box from what condition you should be in as soon as you pull out of the house and come up with some everyday survival tricks of the trade. We'll try to keep it down to a humanistic approach, and we won't do the tackleberry approach that you have to carry 15 tools before you walk out the door. Episode 111, that will be October 30th with the cop, and we'll be discussing Trick or Die, how to protect your loved ones and yourself during the time of Halloween. People use that holiday, they call it a holiday. I don't. I specifically don't like Halloween, but that's just me. I know that there are millions and millions of people that do like it and celebrate it. But we're talking on a criminal aspect, how people need to safeguard and defend themselves. A lot of abductions happen during the month of October. Statistically, they might be smudged the numbers a little bit, but you'll usually always see those heartbreaking stories in the month of October. Some child that got abducted and so forth. So the cop will be with us on October 30th, episode 111, and we will talk about trick or die, about safeguarding yourself during the Halloween season. Episode one, what did we leave off? 112. 112 is November 6th. Also, the cop's going to join us on that one. And it's Shady Slim. Shady Slim Sharpton, the new racket. We're going to discuss what Shady Slim Sharpton is up to and how he's trying to stick it to the cops as usual. And all the Democrats, all the leftists jumping on the Shady Slim bandwagon. So that's November 6th, episode 112 with the cop. November 13th, CBD, and what that means for you and your agency, episode 113 with Mike Sierra. And we're going to be talking about cannabis and some cannabis oils and miracle marijuana and so forth. And how, if the states are making it legal, the federal government is considering making it legal, but police agencies are saying, well, we have zero tolerance on this issue. But remember, if the law says you can have it, then your agency is kind of superventing the law. And not only that, a lot of people use the excuse, well, in the military, there's zero tolerance. There's nothing you can do. That is correct. But they are under the military code of justice, whole different step of rules than law enforcement. So we will discuss that. And it's time to have these discussions as our congressional people up in Washington, better known as the swamp, continue to create these crazy laws. They've created one in this issue with CBD and miracle marijuana. And it affects all types: firefighters, cops, federal agents, all kinds of people. Now what? Exactly. That's my point. So that will be episode 113, November 13th. November 20th, episode 114, we have the Prayers Club business. The Prayers Club business, and how the National Prayer Society up in Washington, D.C., they do a prayer breakfast. How that is a business, and it basically from people all around the country, around the world, partake of it. And believe it or not, you might be shocked to hear this, that there is very little semblance of God in the National Prayer Breakfast. So that's coming up on November 20th. And November 27th, we wrap things up with giving thanks for what you're grateful for. And that is episode 115. Of course, the day before Thanksgiving, we will be uploading that one. It's always something you got to be thankful for. So that's going to be our theme this year. Of course, and every year we upload on Wednesdays. It will always be before Thanksgiving. But we'll always give thanks, but the theme will be different. This year, we will be talking about what you're most grateful for. So that gives up our lineup. We're going to try to stick to that as best we can. And hopefully we can do a pretty good job of it. Every now and then we have to depend on other people's schedules, so just keep that in mind. All right, so as I've always said, I've bored you enough, and I think it's time to bring in the Mac Daddy of private investigation, the Kojak eliminator of bullets on the range, the man that is jet streaming around the world and the country, none other than Kilo Sierra. gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the main event. We are blessed with the presence of Kilo Sierra one more time, jet setting around the country, and on the studio set, Kilo Sierra on the subject of short stocking.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Yes, thank you.
It's always our pleasure to have you on here. I know you're a wealth of information, and the audience really, really appreciates it.
Thank you.
We were discussing, prior to you coming on, tactical shotguns and the choice weapon for many people in home defense. Now, a lot of people have their own personal opinions, of course. I'd rather use this, I'd rather use that. You don't know what you're talking about. But there are people that use shotguns, and some of them are full-size shotguns. On this is a technique, the short stocking, that you really have to know. And so I wanted to get your personal opinion, not only on the technique, but the importance of receiving training as your home defense and any type of weapon that you may pick.
Yes. Short stocking is, I think, effective because, in essence, you're shortening the length of the protrusion of the barrel in front of your body, which helps you clear a corner more effectively with less extension of the barrel in front of you. So so in lieu of a pistol grip, it definitely helps shorten the length of the barrel. So, however, for many individuals that use a short stocking technique, it's a little awkward because of a couple of reasons. A, the firearm is canted almost at a 45-degree angle. And the stock, it's literally above your shoulder, almost by your ear. Yeah. So there's no support, shoulder support, with that shotgun, especially with the recoil. So now it's incumbent on the shooter to be able to not only absorb that recoil with their two hands only, but to be able to recover without the shotgun, avoiding the shotgun traveling too much to the rear or rearward. So that takes some practice, and I think it's an effective tool. However, it does take practice because for many shooters that are not experienced in that, it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward when you discharge a firearm in that position, in that short stocking position. But I think it's effective because you're lessening you're indirectly or lessening the length of the barrel, not physically, but just on your body, because it's not extending as far out in front of you. And that's definitely helpful because you don't want to turn a corner and have someone grab that barrel.
Right. You want to be prepared, and any type of weaponry that you pick, and you want to be well trained in it. Of course, shotguns in a home bring a huge tactical problem as well.
Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely.
And not only that, the rounds, whether, what type of rounds you're going to be shooting, or is it a 12 gauge, 20 gauge, 410, all these things fall into that.
Right.
But I'm mostly concerned, or the point that I really want to talk about is the importance of training.
Yes. Oh, yes. Training is key because so that's what, like you indicated before, the gauge that you use, the type of round you use, that could be a whole other class. Well, that is a whole other class.
Yeah.
But once the individual determines that A, they're going to use a shotgun for home defense, and then B, they've determined the round they're going to use. The third element is I would definitely recommend short stocking because you can even do it dry. It's just learning how to mount or hold the shotgun in that position. So even just going through the physical aspect of just dry firing, holding the shotgun at that angle. And now, mind you, I don't recommend traveling through your house looking for the bad guy. You know, I'm more concerned with bunkering down, or if you have to shoot from your bed or maybe from your door, doing that. But if you're going to utilize a short stocking technique before you even go to the range, you should practice what we call mounting the shotgun or holding the shotgun in that specific angle, just so you get used to it before you pull that trigger.
Yeah.
Before you pull that trigger, and then you go to the range.
And just to elaborate a little bit on what you were saying, if time permits and it's credible, you want to dial 911 and you want to get help over there before you go into your scenario, because you don't know how it's going to turn out and help will not be on the way. So you want to activate that before you turn into a superhero.
Exactly. Oh, yes. Yeah. Have to call 911. Another thing I teach, if in an ideal situation, we should have a safe room, in the sense where a room that's already designated. So if there's a home invasion or someone breaks in, you can run to that room. That's one suggestion I have. For the most part, most of the class, most people, it ends up being their master bedroom anyway, because the break-ins occur over at night. But once all that's figured out, you got to figure. You definitely have to call 911, and you definitely have to be prepared with not only guns but ammunition and maybe a flashlight if you have time to get a flashlight. Maybe you want to mount the flashlight on your shotgun. That's a whole other issue. But regardless of whether you have a flashlight mount on your shotgun, it's the awkward nature of that grip. For those that are not used to shooting the short stocking technique, it's incumbent on them to practice. It is awkward for those who are not used to it. Law enforcement officers like myself or trained, we can do that. We're used to it. We know it's been taught. It's been called other things. It's been taught for many years, and that's what we use. However, for the civilian aspect, I'm training many individuals, and then that's not just that. Like, for example, when I used to teach the initial civilian shotgun training, a lot of that's geared to hunting, clay bird shooting, skeet shooting, and in those situations, everyone shoots it with their elbow, their strong elbow canted up. Because where in a tactical situation, both of your elbows should be down, and even that feels awkward for the civilian who's not used to shooting that way, because it's just used to being trained to hunt. So if that's awkward in and of itself, the short stocking technique is going to be more awkward.
Well, as we say, our logo here, our motto is train, and train.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Because with training, you can't go wrong.
That's right. It becomes second nature. So that's the key. So when you react to a situation, if you're going to utilize a short stocking technique, then when you mount the shotgun or have it that way, it's not going to feel awkward. And that's the case with any firearms training. I teach one of my courses is unconventional positions shooting. So you fall on the ground, you're shooting from a sidewalk curb, you're shooting support hand from behind the wall. These are things that, in my opinion, you should train in, because 9 times out of 10, things are going to go bad,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's no paper silhouette attack.
Exactly. Right.
So you have to be ready, and you're absolutely right. I'll be posting on the show notes on the short stocking videos, and so people can get an idea of what we're talking about. But the importance of training is paramount.
Yes.
Don't go out there. Unfortunately, today, a lot of people see these crazy tactics on movies and TV shows, and they think, "Whoa, wow, I didn't know you could do that," and you really can't do that because it's wrong.
Right? Like, what do you mean I can't curve a bullet? No, you cannot. Exactly.
So you want to get involved with professional instructors.
Right.
And your favorite saying about being a student, a perpetual student.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that phrase, and it's true. You have to be that What
Yeah,
is it?
perpetual student. For you to be a proficient
Perpetual
instructor, you have to be
student.
a perpetual student. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, what I'm alluding to the fact that as an instructor, it is your responsibility to always be teachable.
Yeah.
It's our
Yeah.
responsibility as instructors to always be teachable. Always. We never know everything, ever, ever.
Yeah, the gentleman that created the what the term is now short stocking, as you
Hmm.
mentioned during our academy days, they were called something
Uh-huh.
else. But he kind of formulated his training. His name is Rob Haught
Okay.
from Systematic Training, and on the video that I'm going to post on the show notes, he's a student in a shotgun class. So
Aha. There you go.
you always have to be the student, like you said.
Always. That is so, so important. You always have to be, because this way, things change, tactics change, terminology might change. And so, not only is it incumbent for us to be current, but we also have to keep up our skills, and new tactics and techniques come up that I think it's super cool when I learn something new. I'm like, this is awesome. I never did it this way. I've never loaded a shotgun that way. I've never just did a disarming that way. Whatever it is, it's another tool
Yeah.
in your toolbox.
Exactly, and that's why you have to be that perpetual student, because you're just bettering yourself, and it shows that humble spirit that you're not floating in the air. Your feet are actually touching the ground, and you're willing to
That's
learn.
right. That's right. Exactly. So I think that I'm looking forward to now that you mentioned the short stocking. I haven't done it in a while, but you know what? I'm going to start training that way, and maybe incorporate that into my home defense class. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
some people are real big into shotguns. That's the home defense. We could have hours and hours of debate. What's the best
Oh,
firearms
correct.
for home defense? We would run out of audio tape. But the bottom line is, whatever you choose, you need to be well trained
Right.
in it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well
Hmm.
trained in it.
Right.
As always, my friend, we appreciate your busy schedule. You're here. We will post, of course, your information for those listeners that want to get some professional training. And as always, we appreciate that you're here today.
Thank you so much, and I love being on your show, and I look to the future. So I love being on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. As we allow Sierra to depart the station as he goes off jet setting to every corner of the globe. Until next time, my
Thank
friend.
you, my friend. Take care.
As always, a great interview with Kilo Sierra. He gave us a lot of techniques, a lot of information on the technique of short stocking with the shotgun. As we discussed, you need to take some professional training in whatever your choice of weaponry is going to be. So if you choose to protect your home and your family with a weapon, first thing that we need to identify is, what type of weapon are you going to use? Is it a firearm? Is it a bow and arrow? Is it a string with a can or a BB gun? Based on your decision of what you feel more capable with, then you need to start taking some professional classes. A lot of things that you can do on your own, but you just don't want to half ass it. And then the situation breaks off and it didn't turn out the way it was scripted in your head. So it's important. We always, on the Train Up series, try to give you ideas, try to get those fluids in the brain working so that you can um, kind of have a better idea, better concept of what you might be thinking for in home defense. As always, Kilo Sierra, we will post show notes where to get in contact with him. Great training that he provides, and you won't be disappointed. So we will, of course, place that in the show notes. We're also going to be placing Lucky Gunner on this subject of short stocking, And Lucky Gunner is, we'll put down their website or their blog as well as their YouTube channel. Have a lot of scientific approach to a lot of angles with guns and ammunition. And of course, this subject that we're talking about today, Lucky Gunner took a swing at. So we will post that as well. As also Rob Haught, which is the creator of the technique of close quarter shotgun technique called short stocking, and we'll put his information on there as well. You know, if you got a couple of $100 and you want to take a professional course, find out where these people are. They're somewhere in the country, and you gotta. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of a cost into it, but it's going to make you a better whatever that you can fill in the blank. Better shooter, better technique, better defensive abilities, whatever you feel that you're going to get better at. So it's a good investment because these people are subject matter experts, a lot of them in the area that they are teaching. Reach out, put a couple $100 away, and take that course. We can start off once a year, and then you can go ahead and maybe twice a year. And as you get more elaborate, more into it, you can even do it 4, 6 times a year, depending how much the cash flow is. If you're a law enforcement officer, I encourage you and I beg you, do not rely on your department training only. It, Shooting at silhouette targets only gets you so far. And if your agency has tactical training, sign up for it. It's going to do you a world of good. But also invest in yourself, invest in your family by learning how to be a better, and you fill in the blank, by taking these courses. And that's what we're trying to do in the Train Up series, enlighten you on those issues that need to little focus on. Sometimes we do things and we don't really focus on the aftermath as well. We've always discussed on this program that you should also invest if you're going to have a weapon to protect you, your family, whether at home, whether on the road, or wherever you're at. You should also have some type of protection as far as insurance, USCCA, NRA, Legal Shield, whatever you decide to have. Because the name of the game today is sue, 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 and I'm not talking about the girl either. And so you need to be ready for the aftermath. So when you train, you're training a lot of things. You're training for the event, how to, holster or unholster, how to present your weapon to the target, how to engage the target, and also the aftermath that comes with it. When we do situational awareness, that's coming up in the month of October, I'm going to carry you through some scenarios that, of course, are always going to be time permitted. Okay, so if you have the time to carry out the exercise, do it. Now, of course, when the engagement starts, your focus is totally on the target, and it's not going to be anything else. But since we can't predict the future, what you will have time to do prior to the engagement, we want you to think about those things that we will discuss in the Situational Awareness series. As always, in Raider Cop Nation, we want to build you up. We don't want you to sit here and listen to the broadcast and say, "What the world? I didn't get anything." You're going to take something home with you on this broadcast. All right, the month of December, as we roll towards the end of the month, the last month of the year, I'm going to focus on three programs. No dates on them, yes, yet. We're going to discuss the Lucchese crime family. We we're going to put that in November. We pushed that to December, and we'll explain when we get to December why we did that. And a message on giving, we're going to plug that in December. And the other thing is the Communist Party is here trying to take the country by force. Interesting episode. It will shock you when you hear some of these things that a lot of us kind of think about what do these people talk about? These communists are going to roll down Pennsylvania Avenue and take over the country. No, what if I told you that they've been doing this, planning this for over 80 years? What if I told you that they were well funded? What if I told you if they had intel to do it? What if I told you there was some type of governmental agency that got it started? What would you say if I told you it has already safely arrived in our shores here in the U.S.? What would you say if I told you many of them have governmental positions, and to include lawmaking positions? Oh, yes, my friends, month of December of 2019, you don't want to miss that program. The Communist Party is trying to take the country by force, and that will probably be our last segment of the year, because we're going to be doing the giving message. That probably will be the last message. Kind of combine Christmas and New Year's together with that one. But so the last message of a series is going to be this one that I just talked about, the Communist Party. That is part of our sidebar episodes or series. Had the pleasure of going to Wonder Woman's wedding, as I said. I didn't really in the last podcast talk too much about it because I was pressed for time, but wonderful event down in Naples, and Captain America got hitched with Wonder Woman, said yes. Next thing you know, Captain America was wrapped up in that little rope thing she has, and that's when reality set in. But on a serious side, I mean, happy for both of them, and we will be having Wonder Woman on soon enough hopefully before the year starts or stops, or before it starts. Well, somewhere we'll plug Wonder Woman in, and maybe we'll even get some comments about the wedding. It was very nice, good weather, a lot of happy folks, and I was one of them, so wanted to report that. Of course, the cop is going to be with us coming soon as well. He took his hiatus on the summer by getting promoted. After 32 years, he got promoted to the rank of lieutenant, and this man is an encyclopedia of wisdom in law enforcement with so many years under his belt. But he's arrived in the position of lieutenant, and I have no doubt that he will continue going upwards. Of course, we got Mike Sierra on the On Deck Circle next podcast, next episode, with Yellow Footprints. We're going to be talking a little bit about the sticker campaign he has and how that's helping out veterans with post-traumatic syndrome. And now we're going to start looking at law enforcement officers that are suffering from the same thing. And can we exclude the law enforcement officers from some of these programs that other people are getting? So interesting on next episode. As always, my friends, it is my honor and my privilege to be your host on Raider Cop Nation. As always, continue to pray for yourself, because without you in the game, we have nothing. Continue to pray for your family, your community, and most importantly, the agency that serves you. And paramount to all of them, continue praying for our wonderful country, the United States of America. This is Alpha Mike, and I'm out.
And guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet.
Just 1322.